That faltered a little bit, and then I like the adaptation that we're now seeing on Galatasaray. They're opting in for the Ryze in the beginning because they understand how important the mid lane pressure was in the beginning. But the adaptation is also coming through from the side of Beyond. They want to take away the misfortune from Alive, who just had a stellar series.
Yeah, Alive actually had a really good end to that last game. Obviously, in the early game, struggled. Removing the Lucian makes a lot of sense because you want to take away some of Doggo's pressure in the lane. However, he still gets Misfortune. Alive being put on the Ezreal here means that he's going to just be a little bit more passive down towards that bottom lane. However, Mojito and Bolulu having that combination of Talon and Ryze is so strong. On the other side, MF, Lee, and Syndra have been locked in for Beyond.
Yeah, so before, I think 2 days ago actually with Beyond, Maoan played his first Syndra this summer and got his first victory in his entire career on the Syndra. He's now looking to get his second, but I'll be honest, his performance wasn't that stable. He had a good early game performance where he got the priority to move down towards the bottom lane, but after that it still became a bit shaky and reliant on Doggo, and I'm not gonna lie to you, this whole series for Beyond Gaming so far still feels like it's relying very heavily on Doggo.
I will just, as a note, say Maoan has played since 2020 and had 4 games on Syndra before that, so it's not like he's played the champion 50 times and only won on it once. It was his 5th ever game on it. Alongside that, we are going to get on into this next phase of bans. I'm a tiny bit confused because it looks like no bans are coming up on our screen. So we'll find out what these bans are as soon as we can. Obviously, apologies that we cannot see them on the screen right now. But there are bans happening. We are working our way through.
I'm guessing there's at least some Leona, Amumu-ish ban coming out. You already have the Misfortune, right? You're trying to take away some of this heavy engage. Wonder if we're finally going to be seeing some Rakan as well coming into this one. And it wouldn't surprise me either if Kino in the end would end up having that last pick. But it's not only here, we can see it on the LED screens behind them as well. It's not really showing up at the moment, so we can only speculate.
As we go along, we're losing some picks, we're gaining some picks. They'll all be there in the end. That's the important thing. And then we'll work our way through to the second stage of picks and bans.
But it's going to be interesting. So far, we've been determined to be the Gwen ban coming in. So they are trying to chip away some of Crazy's pressure up in the top lane. And you know what? I think banning away his 100% win rate Gwen so far is a very good shout, at least here in the beginning. It's been something they had issues dealing with when you've reached that mid-game because of the Hallowed Mist. And I'm looking on Galatasaray now to say, who do we feel like have the most pressure? Is it going to be Liang up in this top side with some of these champions we want to take away, like the Jace or GP? Or do we just take away the Leona, the Amumu to pairs up so well with the Misfortune?
I think the Leona ban makes a lot of sense,
I agree.
especially considering you can chase down that Ezreal pretty easily. Of course, Ezreal, one of the slipperiest AD carries in the game, but Leona is a strong support blind pick. It means that you save top lane counter pick for last as Beyond if you pick your support next, and they will get rid of Camille as well. So getting rid of 2 of those strong top laners implies to me that Beyond will go support into top lane counter pick for this next rotation.
Yeah, I think you could very well be right here. There is also the option that they're trying to say, you know what, we're banning away 2 top laners to a counter that we want to blind pick here, but in the end, let's see what it's going to come down to, and it is actually going to be that Jace ban over for Liang. We already seen it one time for him. He got a lot of early game pressure from it, playing into the Gwen, but it kind of fell through later down the line when we reached that mid game, and now just picking a support here is going to be excellent. You already got the Leona removed away. There's still the Alistar you can go into for this one if you want to try and counter it a little bit or match the aggression that we see, but it is going to be the Amumu now paired up with the Misfortune.
Amumu has been a sad mummy for a long time because he wasn't picked. Now he's a sad mummy because he can't flipping win. 0% win rate for Kino on it over the 2 games he's played. I'm just going to check the stats for the entirety. 1 win, 7 losses for the entirety of play-ins for Amumu. So we'll see if that continues today. I do wonder if there's going to be an Ornn pick finally here for Beyond. It's not really Liang's style, but I think alongside the rest of this, Ornn for the initial engage, Amumu for the follow-up, and then the bullet time raining alongside that could work out. Of course, into the Gnar is a matchup that kind of just gets chipped away at, but Ornn can survive that 1v1.
Yeah, so either you match the aggression here with the playmaker, or you decide to say, you know what, we'll pick Braum into Misfortune. It'll be good against the Lee Sin as well if they want to jump in. or you just get that follow-up that we already talked about here. You have the Ryze that gets the pressure. You have the Gnar that's going to be jumping in with Mecha. The same for Talon here. And Rakan does super well, specifically with invisible champions he can just dash to with the quickness on to get that extra knock-up. So that really sets it up, and that's an insta-lock on the Irelia. Irelia obviously having a good matchup into the Gnar, but that also means that you're playing up towards that top side, and you should be leaving Doggo at least to the mid game.
And Irelia just slipped all the way through, picks and bans. A very well-known Gnar counter pick. Of course, we've seen it throughout the history of these two champions existing, and with Irelia being as strong as she is right now, it's no surprises that Beyond had decided to go for it, but there's a lot of weight on Liang's shoulders this game. Bot side likely to be left a little bit on an island. I do think Amumu into Rakan is an okay matchup, because whenever the Rakan dances to an Ezreal, you just queue towards where whoever he's going towards is. So makes it a little bit easier for the Amumu to land some of those bandage tosses. Galatasaray 1 game away from a playoffs berth versus Hanwha Life Esports for a spot in the main stage of groups. 4 years since Turkey made it to the main stage. Let's see if Galatasaray can continue their winning ways and take this in a clean sweep, or whether Beyond will be able to fight back for the PCS, fight back for pride, and take us to game 4. Worlds always brings out the best in people, brings out the best League of Legends from around the globe, and I'm ready for another game of the action we've been having so far. Both games have had a soul, both games have had an elder, both games have had like 3 barons. Just give me another one of those.
It's going down to the wire every time. It feels weird saying how important the early game is between these two teams, because in the end, it just gets defined by that last team fight.
It's just team fighting. And
that's not to say that the early game is not going to matter, because the only reason it really comes down to that last team fight is because that well, the team that's in the driving force usually lets them get back onto that point. Some level 1 shenanigans up here, trying to see if they can extend the outmost of this early game, if they can get a first blood. But no one's biting. Crazy's not checking up here. He's actually just sat in river. So no one should be going down here.
And no one spotted out the 4-1 split there. What you do is you go through lack of vision through fog of war for the top 4, and then Liang positions down towards the bottom side of the bush, hoping that if an enemy top lane is in that bush, they path up towards where their tower would be, and then there's 4 people with waiting arms out for them. 100 Thieves there from Kino. Feels a little bit weird that he decided to go against his own team, but sure.
I mean, he just really wanted a hoodie. Anyways.
Maybe he's a big Abadage fan.
Yeah, that could be as well. Bot laners will be leashing their junglers here, moving up towards the top side of the map. It feels like it has been a staple for this series so far. Yep. And it certainly makes sense in the term of wanting to stabilize your Gnar as Galatasaray, and on the side of Beyond Gaming, obviously wanting to extend the lead that you can get with an explosive matchup like the Irelia into Gnar.
Crazy getting a little bit harassed down in the first couple of levels. Mojito showed us in game 1 that this Talon has a relatively fast clear. Of course, we all saw it earlier on in play-ins as well, but expectations are he should be able to outmatch Husha on this first rotation, usually by about a camp or so across the course of all 6 of them. Kino here trying to trade in, lands the bandage shot onto Zergsting, but Zergsting with the passive shield is still pretty tanky. It's a Guardian into Aftershock matchup, so Kino will be very happy to jump in like that because he knows he has his Aftershock to walk away, whereas the Guardian, of course, after that shield is procs, you don't get it.
That's the mobility you're looking to work with, just because if you tank up the bandage touch, you can just battle dance. Oh, wow, Kino already forced a flash.
Bandage touch available, and Kino's going to try and turn this one around, but the Ignite is already ticking, exhaust going down as well. Alive with the extra combat summoner there, forces Kino back, but Doggo does still have heals, so in terms of overall advantage, it's a summoner advantage for Doggo and Kino. Didn't even burn their own Ignite there.
Yeah, this can become important later. Kino still has the pot that he's on right now, and obviously Doggo still sitting on multiple pots and biscuits, so the sustain game in general on Beyond should still be there. Now, as we take a look at the mid lane, as we've already established, important for the early game priority, but you can see how much mana Bolulu needs to extend to try and just keep Maoan in lane, and teleports might come out early from both mid laners just to establish more control as Zergsting dashes in, now gets the Ignite.
did have the Guardian proc, so knew that he could, assuming he could dash out, he'd be fine. Meanwhile, Liang in the top lane trying to trade on Crazy, who bounces on his head and jumps away. There's another bandage toss, lands onto Alive, he's down. Second on the menu is Zergsting, who tries to flash away, but a flash auto from Doggo would have been enough, decides to hold on to his summoner.
Yeah, the aggression that's coming through from Galatasaray is just a bit too much here, and with the summoner spell advantage that Doggo and Kino already had, just not the play you were looking for, but nice to see from beyond that they're able to find individual leads.
Oh, Zergsting underneath the towers down. Doggo actually flashed for that, but he manages to survive. It is supportal combat. 1-0 in bottom lane, and Kino didn't give an assist over to Doggo. Meanwhile, Mojito trying to make something happen on the top lane, but this wave not in the best of states for him to go for the dive. Instead, Liang will back. And actually, looks like he'd probably have to TP into this, because otherwise it's just going to really slow push against him.
This can be scary, though, because if he decides to TP, he needs to walk up, then, well, I was going to say Bolulu would still have a TP for his own, but he's going to match that teleport from Maoan in the mid lane, and Mojito has backed us as well, reset for that pickups to have that extra damage.
It's very reminiscent of Game 2, though, isn't it? You know, beyond getting out to an early lead, a lot of that through Doggo and Kino in the bottom lane, just having the 2v2 advantage. And now, Zergsting unleashed on the map. Ezreal, of course, when you get to level 3, basically has all the tools he will ever need to protect himself and can just farm from range. The only issue for Zergsting is he does need a few levels in his own back pocket if he's going to get towards these more impactful ganks where you have something like the quickness. Expectations are Zergsting will try and get up towards that level 6 and probably just leave his bot lane partner alone for a while.
Yeah, but especially if you can get level 6 on this Amumu and Misfortune before the Rakan starts having his flash up again, the CC chain that you're able to put down on people there is going to be too much. And now, speaking of that priority, Maoan get the priority in the mid lane, moves up towards the top side, forces Crazy to back, so they don't get the dive, but Crazy's losing resources.
Yeah. He's got flash. There is a blast cone there for him now, but Mojito's on his way. Liang flashes forward. Blade surges in. The counter flash won't be enough. 2 autos from the turret. Well, Mojito dives in and will smite the kill. Also going to catch this entire wave, instead giving over to Bolulu.
Yeah, so they won't lose too much. Crazy can just TP into the mid lane, so that means Bolulu won't be losing any waves there. So there you see it.
Yeah,
it's a one-for-one trade and a super nice little macro play to go for here. So once Bolulu pushes in the top side, he can recall himself, go back to the mid lane, while Crazy is clearing in the mid lane here. So super nice to see from the side of Galatasaray, but also Liang stepping up in a position where he has been giving the counter matchup in a series where he so far haven't been able to leave his mark.
It's definitely something Liang needs to do, getting that Irelia for the final pick here. And we can see it looks like relatively even to start it off. Liang using Fog of War relatively well just to dodge back, get a couple of auto attacks in here and there. And then at this point, as soon as Crazy flashes away and you still have Blade Surge, it's an easy kill for Liang.
Yeah, I think it's super cute done by Liang there, just flashing forward, waiting for the own flash of the Gnar to come through, where you then Blade Surge. And all in all, Crazy just being a bit too
crazy.
Yeah, I guess that's... He could have been a bit more patient in terms of waiting for his jungler. Yeah,
he's pathing the wrong way here. Vanguard's Edge coming out and Crazy jumps across, but there is Husha. And, whoa, okay. Husha? Is that just respecting the fact Mojito could be there?
Yeah, I think the mistiming there on the Gnar, he thought he was going to come through, and therefore he didn't want to take the Sonic Wave to get knocked in, and because of that, Crazy just gets to walk out of that one. Crazy should have been dead, and now the response down in bottom lane.
Heal used there by Doggo to try and get away with the room. Prison lands. There's the grand entrance. Zergsting taking the kill isn't the best, and the Ignite will tick him down, so it's a 1-for-1 trade in the bottom lane with the supports getting the kill.
That's the big thing, though. The fact that Doggo don't get to pick up the minion wave, and there, once again, we see the battle of the mid laners. It's pushing in the mid lane, not so you can extend the pressure for tower plating, but so you can expend it in the side lanes instead, and that's so pivotal for this series. You can see Galatasaray have opted in to attack the bot side instead of the top side, and Beyond Gaming, they've done the opposite. They are now the team going for the Irelia up towards the top side.
Yeah, 900 gold ahead already for Liang. It's having a stormer start to this game, and Beyond about 1,300 gold in the lead on the start of what would be a pretty epic comeback, let's be honest. 2-0 down, both games that, if you look back at them, you'll see very key moments where they could have won or should have won them. And Galatasaray have been able to fight back well, but Beyond now need to reverse sweep if they're going to make it into that knockout match against Hanwha Life.
It's one of those weird scenarios where you watch the game, you see the entire early to mid game, and you're like, wow, this team is super good at getting the control. But the problem is, in the end, if you can't kill the enemy nexus, you don't deserve to get that win. And that's what it's all about.
Very true, Guldborg. It's a tip I'll take into my solo queue games from now on. I type into my teams at the start, be like, hey guys, we don't kill the enemy Nexus, we don't deserve to win. And then all my opponents surrender at 15 anyway, so it's fine. Alive here, paying respect to the fact that he is by himself on this bottom lane. We'll have a look for that CC chain you were talking about earlier, because Amumu and MF, a single bandage shot can spell death, and there it is, flash bandage, bullet time, jumped away from there. Zergsting will pay with his life for the fact that Alive was slightly out of position and had to burn his flash.
Yeah, obviously bandage touch, you run, or you drag yourself towards the enemy, so he follows him with the Arcane Shift there as well. Nice stun by Zergsting, who sacrifices his own life for it, but the cross map is coming through at the same time. Rift Herald, it has been picked up by Mojito, and now all of a sudden Liang is forced back on the Irelia, so the center of attention for Beyond Gaming has been switched around. It's no longer about that top side, now it's about Doggo in the mid lane, or bot lane rather, and because of that, Galatasaray is extending their own pressure up here.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be full 5 plates here in the top side. Liang with the Vanguard's Edge. Actually, the plates don't quite form. Mojito tanking up the tower there. Rift Herald still charging in. Liang going back in with the Defiant Dance, and we'll be able to survive. Rift Herald goes down, and the tower also is alive there. Dragon taken down towards the bottom side of the map. So Beyond, what did they get out of this? Well, they got 3 plates in the bottom lane, they got the kill, and they lost 4 plates in the top lane. So overall, depends if you equate a Dragon's gold to a plate, which I do. I think Beyond got out on the good side of that once again. Zergsting, that Ignite's gonna kill you, my man.
Oh, no.
He dies for Bolulu. Zergsting, he's 1-4, but every single time he's died is because he's been defending one of his teammates.
Yeah, you know, that's what you need to do here. You can't be a KDA player as a support. You'd rather just die so they can stay alive to either catch waves or get back to a reset quickly. So Zergsting there, saving his mid laner for his own life.
Sag. Importantly, though, Kino is the one picking up the majority of these kills, actually. 3-0-2, that Ignite has been doing work for him. And as much as, you know, getting an earlier Mythic on a support is great and it works well for you, it's not as impactful as getting, you know, those extra items on Misfortune or those extra items on Syndra. So if Galatasaray look at this, they'll say, okay, our support's down 1,000 gold right now. That's not the end of the world. We can still manage to play back from this sort of position. We still have a pretty strong Bolulu in the mid lane on this Ryze. We still have Ezreal who can scale up as the game goes on.
And that's the thing, because right now, for Beyond Gaming, I see a 2k gold lead, but I'm not feeling confident in this just yet.
I mean, that's because last game they threw a 10,000 gold lead.
Exactly, because of this. This is not the issues of Beyond. They've clearly displayed that they know how to play the early game. But the problem comes in once we reach that mid game, and the problem comes in once Galatasaray gets to excel themselves out on the side lanes, because they have Ryze. They get to play 2 solo laners in the same lane if they want to shadow each other, if they want to look for picks. And that's where I want to see Beyond Gaming have that better setup. But right now, they're having a stellar early game.
They definitely are. Kino actually having a really strong game as well. He's been consistently underperforming, I think, through this playoffs here on this Amumu. He's finding picks, he's finding those bandage tosses, he's finding his man every single time, and perhaps he's going to break the curse that is the sad mummy this series and this tournament. Only won 1 out of the 8 games he's been played in.
Yeah, but so far the vision control is so good from Beyond as well. You can see up towards the top side, it's lit with wards. And the little vision that Galatasaray is trying to put down, they're able to at least clear it out here with the pressure that they have. And this is the luxury you get when you have pressure in lanes. Mid lane pushed in, you have first move up towards the top side with Liang here. Mojito's on the tower.
Can defend for the moment. Round warp available. There's the TP down towards the mid lane. Mojito's going to try and clear the South Shadow Assault being used as well. Kino already used the Curse of the Sad Mummy, and he's still surviving. Will get shut down. Liang now the next target. Bolulu trying to do what he can. Zergsting on his way. Look at the flank. Here's the quickness, and get down with it. Husha with a great kick will knock them away. Liang though's going to get chased down. Crazy, and Bolulu will secure it. And Galatasaray able to fight back in the top lane.
And these are the picks we're talking about. You're overextending here as Beyond Gaming. Kino, you had just been complimenting him, and then they go too far forward under the tower. Mojito still had his ultimate, and I mean, really nicely response from Zergsting. He's actually still up here. Gnar is falling.
Crazy, still has flash. Unleash power going out. Crazy, yeah, he's dead. Too much damage from the side of Beyond. Zergsting was there to defend, but Crazy decided not to invest any of his resources. No summoner to get out of that one.
Yeah, fair enough. Zergsting didn't have the flash either, so he couldn't flash Battle Dance to get the Guardian on either, so there's really no reason to risk those summoner spells there. There is 1 minute and 20 seconds until the second Drake of the map will be respawned. And that also means that you probably want to have your fighting tools for that objective.
Let's have another look at this fight in the top lane, because as you say, what I love from Mojito here is he's just trying to clear out this wave. He even uses the ultimate as we come back out of it.
Yeah, it's also just, it's not really timed so well between the two Beyond members here. Kino is coming in investing everything, but Liang is just charging off his W. And then the real hero of this play is Zergsting, that's coming in for the Dream flank, forcing 2 summoner spells. Oh, because if they didn't, that would have just been the nicest 3-man knock-up in the world.
It's one of those really long rotations from the support, because you saw Bolulu. I thought they were going to Realm Warp in. Instead, Bolulu uses the TP, which does make sense because Realm Warp can be used to continue the chase after you have that initial play. And Zergsting then made his way the long way around. Let's have a look at where we are in terms of gold. 80 carry difference. Doggo, 5 plates in the bottom lane now. 2,400 gold ahead on this MF. Top lane as well, a huge advantage for Liang. Mojito, though, did pick up the shutdown on Kino. So we'll have to see and keep your eyes on that Trickster Talon through these fights. Because if he can get onto Doggo, who very wisely has gone Eclipse for the extra shield, we have to see how that balance plays out in team fights.
And that's the pressure there also is on Maoan now in these team fights, because you kind of want to save your scatter for the Gnar jumping in or for the Talon coming in.
Yeah.
You want to make the life for Doggo as easy as possible. And good thing for you, you have a fed Irelia now that can create some issues for the enemies, so there's 2 points of attention you're going to be having. But just due to the pressure and due to Galatasaray right now in this moment, and finding it in them to go for a team fight, they're going to let that Drake go over to Beyond Gaming again.
Liang respecting the fact that he might meet a jungler off towards the top side, backs away before the tower goes down. First tower of the game for Galatasaray, up towards that top lane. Dragon secured, as you say, for Beyond the Cloud. It is an Infernal Soul, so no Ocean Soul this game, but TP's coming in. They're looking to collapse here on Mojito and on Crazy. Might actually just be looking for the Rift Herald. Mojito has a good flank position. Bolulu no TP, and he's down towards the bottom side. This would be a numbers advantage for Beyond. Zergsting will know that he shouldn't face check this.
Yeah. This is nice from Beyond in terms of taking over control of the Rift Herald, but as Galatasaray here, you want to keep these mid lane sharp. You can give over this Rift Herald, and then you'll focus your attention down towards the bot side instead. But it's a good rotation, because they're finding this rotation while the camps are respawning on the top side for Galatasaray. So not only are they getting a Rift Herald for themselves, not only do they have more pressure in the mid lane, they're also taking away jungle agency.
Bullet time coming in, but that's some quickness. Kino just dived way too greenly, way too deep. Bullet time will do a huge amount of damage, as with the curse of the Sad Mummy. You can see Doggo is able to get 1 kill out of it. Mojito trying to do what he can, but he's Shadow Assault as well. Irelia TPing in. Husha diving onto the back. Will get 1, but he's taken out as well. Crazy now with Bolulu, but Bolulu flashes forward. Rune Prison Zergsting diving in. The dodge from Doggo, able to get the counter shut down. Crazy now trying to trade back onto Maoan, but he might need to get out of this one. Does still have to flash. The chase in from Liang, who has no flash of his own. Crazy should be able to escape. Yeah, flashes the Vanguard's edge. In the end, a 4 for 3 in favor of Beyond.
It looked like Kino once again was diving too far forward, but as you said, it is still in favor of Beyond. They get the mid lane turret. They get some camps as well, and it looks like they will be able to pick up top side in a bit as well for Liang, with no TPs being available of the solo laners for Galatasaray. But something that still felt like you didn't have to commit so much into it. There was still gold that went over to Galatasaray there.
With Doggo dying off, does put more gold in the back pockets of Galatasaray. Beyond still very much in control of this game. You can see the binding hits onto Zergsting, and at this point I'm like, okay, just back off instead of going for the flash curse of the Sad Mummy.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed like they went a bit too far forward there, and as soon as the collapse starting to come in here, you have to invest the TP at the same time, because of this. Husha tempts himself of going off the 1v1. I think at this point, it's nicely done by Bolulu, but at the same time, it's also disrespecting what the champions of Beyond Gaming will do. So Zergsting dashing in at the same time, he's just giving away his life for nothing realistically there.
I think the debate is, you saw that Bolulu got a 500 gold shutdown. Is getting that 500 gold worth giving 300 more gold over to Doggo? Because if it is, then sure.
I mean, Zergsting already has been doing a good job of just sacrificing his life for solo laners this game. So, you know, might as well just sacrifice your support for that shutdown.
And with the full lethality misfortune being built up here, Eclipse, Yumu's Umbral Glaive will give more vision control over to Beyond, and with that Scryer's Bloom, they spot out Mojito and Bolulu down towards this bottom side of the map. 2 minutes on the Infernal. 4,000 gold the lead here for Beyond. We have seen them lose from this position before, but they are once again in the lead in a very strong spot, fighting for their lives here at Worlds 2021. A win here would possibly be the start of their comeback. However, a win for Galatasaray would take them through to tomorrow, where they face Hanwha Life Esports.
So let's actually see how they deal with this setup this time around. There's no need to go for it just yet, as there still is 1 minute and 30 seconds, so it's still a couple waves before that. The Drake is really going to matter. They're clearing out some aggressive vision in the early game, but they still need to be careful, as the area around the Drakes is still dominated by Galatasaray with their warding. So seems like they don't care about that just yet, and they just want to accelerate the pressure with the Rift Herald. Nicely done here by Galatasaray, or Beyond Gaming rather, pushing in the mid lane, collapsing on the bottom side, and you should be able to get a second charge with Rift Herald after this one.
I feel like you didn't really need to lose Rift Herald's health on that first charge. Could have just chipped away at the tower a bit quicker and it would have gone down. They will still get a second charge in, as you say, towards the inhibitor tower. Only 19 minutes into the game. Might be a bit early for an inhibitor, but Kino is looking for kills instead. Already they killed off Zergsting. Husha diving onto the backline, as well as Mojito has to use the Shadow Assault, but he's already down. Gnar coming in. Crazy not TPing, instead recalling. Inhibitor will be taken in the bottom lane here. Now, the important thing with this for Beyond is they have to use this pressure. Crazy continues to push on the top side. Liang chipped away at by alive. Flawless Duet will land. And when we talk about taking early inhibitors, it's not that necessarily taking the inhibitor is bad. The problem is if you can't use the extra pressure you get from the bot lane inhibitor being down, then it doesn't work for you. However, Beyond have a couple of seconds before the Baron comes up. They've got a dragon to take as well, so if they can utilize the fact they have super minions in the bottom lane pushing in to stop Galatasaray being able to respond to a Baron, it could work out for them.
Yeah, but the problem is the reset has been a bit awkward here. You have TP in a bit from Maoan, so he can just recall and then TP into the Drake. But as it looks right now from Galatasaray, they're not even going to contest this one. This is going to be a free soul point going over to Beyond, setting them up nicely for an Infernal Drake in 5 minutes. Galatasaray, they're looking at the top side, but
Mojito walked straight over like a ward. So
they didn't get much more out of that than the tier 2 turret, and it looks like they just need to reset now.
The thing was, Galatasaray were aiming to catch someone rotating or moving towards the top lane, but there's this ward they're about to see, there's this control ward, and they walked just straight past both of them, so it was very easy for Beyond to stay away from them.
I like Kino this time around, hits the Bandit's Touch, ultimates immediately, no way he wants to get hit by the quickness again, and then follow up with the second Bandit toss in the kit. Super nicely done, and it just sets up the inhibitor.
Yeah, really good stuff from Kino. That's the power of this Amumu, it's why we've been seeing it so prevalently throughout the course of planes, is that double bandage toss, having 2 charges on any sort of hook. Basically OP. Imagine Thresh with Imagine Blitzcrank. Deary me, I'll be so broken.
That's a new champion I want. 2 hooks on charges, that sounds fun.
We've had 2 chains, can we get 2 hooks?
Thank you very much.
That's what we need. We've also had 2 Shens. WTF.
Whoa.
Beyond pushing for this top side. This game is very much in their hands. 5,000 gold ahead. Bolulu in a strong position. Seraph's complete. I like the fact he's got that second item here.
Let me correct you there. Just like all the games so far, this is very much in Beyond's hands. And they're now having the priority around the top side of the map. They're having Liang push in the mid lane. And there's no counter response from Galatasaray because essentially there's nothing you can do right now. You're waiting for that one key moment where you catch Beyond slipping, where you catch someone off guard. You start getting that pressure back on the map.
Issue is just how far behind you are. 1,000 gold in the top lane, 3,000, 4,000 in the AD carry position. Bolulu's in a good spot. You know, he's got 2 items. There's not much magic resist on the other side, but it feels like a very uphill climb for Galatasaray to be able to do anything here. Baron available, total vision control for Beyond on that top side jungle. And they will just continue to chip away at these towers, slowly bleeding Galatasaray out of this game.
Completely are. No camps to take. Well, they're taking away the remaining camps as well. Can go for their own camp respawn timers, can go for a reset and then set up the defensive vision again, or the aggressive vision again, rather. It's like they're just looking for potential pick.
Zergsting isn't really the target you want. Flawless Duet coming out from Liang. They looked for Mojito instead, but Zergsting, of course, can just dance his way out of a fight. Kino, though, once again in the fog of war, in the darkness here, puts the ward over the wall to distract Crazy, and that will be swept.
Down towards the bottom side. Bolulu is picking up a lot of these super minion waves that you were talking about with the inhibitor. This pressure that they've been gaining off the bot lane has given them some towers up towards the top and towards the mid lane here, but it hasn't resulted in a Baron just yet. So as Galatasaray, you're taking all the free resources you can get at this point. And now when the resets are finally coming through from Beyond, you need to be able to take control over your own blue side jungle again, because if the vision stays lit like this for Beyond, then it becomes problematic if a Baron starts getting started up.
Mojito walks over a slew of wards, just a plethora of them. Basically entirely on vision the entire time he walks through this jungle. He'll clear a couple of them out. Husha and Liang are in the vicinity, so could make something happen if they wanted to, but they decide they just want to continue to deny as much awareness as possible. Now, that bot lane inhibitor back up in 45 seconds. As you said, Beyond have been able to take some towers out of it. They've extended their gold lead by about 2,000 across the course of that inhibitor being down. They're now up to 6,000 gold ahead, but Galatasaray are starting to get some of these items under their belts. You know, 2 items on their AD carry, 2 items on their mid laner. Whereas obviously on the other side, Doggo has 4 items.
Yeah, I know. You're trying to make it sound good. It's like, oh, yeah, he's got 2 items. But on the other hand, we have Doggo Premier with 4 items. The guy she told you not to worry about.
Exactly. Before he was a Chihuahua, now he's this massive Alsatian. Just too strong. You could say his bite is worse than his bark.
It surely is, yeah. And then looks like Baron won't be the deciding factor of this game. It looks like they just want to take it slow. It's harder to throw at a Drake. Oh, they actually get a good pick here.
Stunned and alive is not that anymore. Kino gets the kill. Quickness coming out as Mojito tries to escape. They will be able to retreat for the moment. But Baron immediately pinged here. Now, do you fight this if you're Galatasaray? I think no. I think you just back away, but they might want to go for it. They do have Mega Gnar building up. It looks like Crazy's Gnar bar is actually very low, so it would be a long time.
It's a problematic philosophy because statistically speaking, after them getting Baron, they should be able to have the pressure around the Drake as well. And then they should be having Baron buff, and then they should be having the Infernal Drake. So what is going on?
Okay, they were trying to realm warp into it, maybe thinking that Beyond had reset, and they could realm warp it, or using the realm warp for vision. Of course,
you could have thrown in an invisible Talon actually, but TP is coming through here now. They're collapsing.
No realm warp available for Galatasaray. Liang on a good flank position. Flawless duet lands. Bolulu clashes. Just able to get away from that. Now the turnaround coming out. Vanguard's Edge used. Crazy almost into the Mega Gnar. Look, leaps away for the moment. Dragon available, and that would be Soul, as you said, for Beyond. Liang, no TP on him. Just used it down towards this bot side fight. Maoan in position for a good scatter of the week, but gets hit with a brick in the back. Mojito dives over onto the Infernal Dragon. Let's see how these 2 teams set up.
You just have to wait out the Mega Gnar. You don't have to do anything else than that. This is slowly but surely becoming into your favorable position, but you still don't have the bot lane vision. And all of a sudden, the Drake has been started off by Galatasaray.
Zergsting has no quickness. It's about 3, 4, 5 seconds away. Hand it down with me. Zergsting will be looking for that. Has the flash, has the quickness, has the fog of war. Dragon started, secured, and that's Infernal Soul going over to Beyond. Kino dives onto the backline. Zergsting trying to get away, but already the damage is good from Beyond. Bolulu caught out. He steps into the middle. Already he's burst down. And you have to feel this is it. You have to feel this is done. Beyond will strike back against Galatasaray.
Yeah, Beyond is finally making it happen. Crazy, he's doing his best. Going into the Mega Gnar here, actually.
Yeah, it's not going to be able to get away from this one. Doggo flashes just for good measure. But Beyond finally able to use the fact they had a huge early game lead to hopefully close this one out. Although Mojito's up in 12, Zergsting's up in 8. Against Baroned up minions, I don't know if they can defend.
I think they're going for the end here. This is finally what you get from having these priority lanes, punishing the blind pick Gnar, knowing that Bolulu would go for the Ryze here to get the Syndra with priority, and now on the brink of taking down the Nexus for the first time for Beyond in this best of 5 series.
Beyond will not go quietly into the night. Their Worlds run is not done yet. They take down Galatasaray and they get their first win of this series.
And that's how it's supposed to be done. That's what we wanted to see from Beyond. Take control of the early game, bring that control into the mid game with the objective stacking, and then just take care of your opponent with the massive gold lead that you have. Obviously, it does help having 3 winning lanes. Something has gone a bit wrong there from this side of Galatasaray going into this one, and obviously with the bot lane, Doggo and Kino getting to be 2 kills, finally seeing Kino on the map. Despite him having some slip-ups here and there, I would say that the overall performance in this game 3 from him was really nice.
I think that bot lane for Beyond really showing up in this game. They have been doing the entire series, but this game especially, they were just able to